Hello everybody, my name is Raj Wadhwani and I'm proud to host this webinar on how to enter the 2018 Top Ranking Performers Global Awards Program. It's really great to see so many people on this call with us from around the world. I'm just going to read you a few locations where we have some people who are joining us this morning. From the United Kingdom, from France, Turkey, Germany, Canada, Mexico, Brazil, folks in India, where it's very late there, thank you for joining us. United States, Jamaica, Mexico, Indonesia, Japan, Australia, they're 14 hours ahead in this part of Australia, Malaysia, Saudi Arabia, Ireland, some folks from Austria, Sweden, Thailand, and Myanmar. Well, thank you very much for joining us. Once again, my name is Raj Wadhwani. I'm going to be taking you through this webinar, and just a few notes just so that you understand how this process will work. Your audio is muted right now. If you have any questions, there is a toolbar on the right hand side of the webinar tool that we're using right now, where you can actually raise a question, or you can send me some questions afterwards and I'll gladly help you out on a one-to-one basis as well. I anticipate taking no more than 30 minutes of your time. I know you're very busy, you're in the contact center space, so 30 minutes is probably about the maximum that I can take of your time, and thank you for joining us. So here's what we're going to cover in the next 28 minutes or so now. Who we are, why enter, explain a bit about the difference between this and some of the other programs out there. Then we're going to focus on how to enter and some best practice ideas. Let's start with who we are. Most of you know us because you're members. You know we are the world's largest contact center association with 190,000 members in 200 countries. And I started the organization back in 1999 from the United Kingdom and moved our corporate headquarters over to North America back in 2001. So, you know, very proud of the vast membership that we have in 200 countries around the world. We also are 100% independently owned. We're not part of a larger group. We're not part of some of the big organizations out there. And what that really means for a lot of our members is that you're talking to the people who run the association, who can help you with information. There's very little red tape. Yes, we have rules and regulations, but what that also means is that we can respond fast and adapt and change to changing needs without having to go up through lots of, you know, lines of approval. And by the way, these are the 13th annual awards, so it's not something new, something we've been doing for many, many years. Let's just focus on why enter in the first place. It's all about recognition. Everybody wants to get recognition in some way, shape or form, whether it's status because of the vehicles they drive or the houses they buy or the job function or role. We all want recognition in some form of, you know, one way or another. And our awards are fantastic for recognition. I've seen people who have gone into our awards program at the very entry level, the very start of their career. They've been a customer service professional, they've entered, and 2-3 years later we meet the same people and they are now leading their contact center. So it's a really, really good way to give people recognition and give them a chance to enhance their and a chance to enhance their career and opportunities. Then for companies want to get, you know, more investment, they want to get more exposure, they want to actually get people to look at them and see that they're world leaders or leaders in their field. It's a fantastic way to get global recognition, and that means a lot to a lot of people because, you know, you can get localized recognition and that's fantastic, but we work in a world that is global. Everybody's trading, doing business around the world, whether we like it or not at times, and therefore there was a really good opportunity to get global recognition to help you attract more staff, to actually also get recognition, impress investors, and also showcase the existing teams of people that you have that you really value recognition of what you're doing and what they're doing, more importantly. The process of entering also gives you an opportunity to refocus and think about what you're doing and why you're doing it and how you're doing it. And we have some really good questions which prompt you to really step back and say, are we doing this well? How are we doing it? Could we do it better? And it's a really good way to actually start just thinking about your business in a different way, because we've got some really good creative questions in the process that will help you re-explore the steps that you're going through and how you're running your business. And sometimes when people ask you questions, you think, yeah, good point. How are we doing that? Are we doing this? Are we doing that? And in many cases you might be, in other cases you might not be, but it's a great way to actually start to get some ideas about how the whole process is working. And for staff, it really shows you care about their future. You want to help people. The number one criticism I hear from people who have left the industry is that they really felt their company didn't care about them. And what a great opportunity there is in the industry to say to your staff, hey guys, we really value you, we like you, we want to invest in you, and we know that you might not be with us in 2, 3, 4 years. Maybe you will, but there's a chance that you might not be, but it's not a reason to not invest. We're going to invest in you because we want to keep you. So it's a really good way to also help you focus your staff that you do care about them. You're also in great company as well. We have thousands of fantastic centres all around the world who have entered. Over the course of us running these awards, we've actually had entries from over 70 nations around the world. And they compete. It's kind of like the Olympics, as we'll go on to and discuss in just a moment. But we do help people and we do help organisations grow and develop. I just want to touch on some of the problems that we address through the development of our awards program. We actually don't allow any sponsors to win awards. And when I go out there into the marketplace and I ask people, why don't you enter these awards programs, or why don't you enter those ones? The common criticism I hear of many award programs out there is that you get companies who sponsor the awards and then hey, they happen to win awards. That just doesn't make sense. That's so biased. We actually don't allow anybody to sponsor and win awards. That's just a no-no. Also, many award programs, you don't know who won or lost and why. And that's really important because you're trying to develop. It's not just about putting your best foot forward. You also want to learn and improve what you do. And if you go into a competition and you say, hey, you've been told you've won, maybe you're wondering, why did we win? What are we doing better? And maybe what can we still improve? Or why didn't I win? What can we do better? What can we improve? You get all of that through our awards program. Very expensive. One of the criticisms that I have of many award programs out there, they're just so cost prohibitive. They charge you for every single entry, and if you want to put your team forward, it gets very, very expensive to actually do that. There's also a lot of emphasis on writing essays, and I get people contacting me all the time and saying, hey Raj, do we have to get a script writer to write this? No, you don't. It's all about real life situations. It's people who do the job, people who are running the operations, people who are on the front line, the leaders, the folks who are developing technology, working in workforce planning. These are the guys doing the jobs, and they're the folks who enter the awards program, and they're the ones who describe the best what they do and how they do it. And that's what awards should be. It shouldn't be, you have to put together 200 page document to submit and make it look nice and pretty. It's not. It's more emphasis on what you do. There's also no language variables in a lot of award programs, and that limits them. In our awards program, we actually have the ability for people to enter in multiple different languages, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. Recognition is often just limited to winners. In our awards program, we do things different. We don't think you should walk away from an awards program and not have anything to show for it. There should be something that you can take back and actually give you some focus and some direction to do better next time. And that's what we do. And there's so many award programs out there that state they're international, and they're not. It frustrates me when you see, hey, we've got this global awards or these international awards, and you look at 95% of the entrants are all from one particular country. That's not international. That's not global. That is really very much a domestic award where they they're saying that they're international. And that's a big issue in the industry. International really should be international. It should be multi-nation. It should be global in the sense of offering people lots of opportunities. So I'm just going to talk for a couple of minutes about some of the differences now. I mentioned international. Our awards every year typically attract over 50 nations to compete. And some people over the years have actually referred to us as being like the Olympics of the contact center industry, because you've got not just people competing against people or companies against companies, but now you've got organizations representing their nation and putting their nation forward and their nation getting recognition. So it is kind of like the Olympics. Really, really important for us. And every year when we get over 50 different nations putting their best forward, it also reinforces and endorses the fact that ours is truly global, and that's really important. We also introduced we also have two options now for you. There's recognition for those people who don't want to enter a fully fledged award just yet. They don't want to put their people into require them to do a huge amount of work. They don't want to send their people off site to enter an awards program, and they just want to get recognition. So we've introduced a certificate of achievement, and you go through many of the same processes as I'll cover in just a moment, but you don't get awards, you'll get certificates which will actually show that you've been recognized by the #1 association in the world for best practices and what you're doing. And it's a great way to allow you to open this up to many people in your organization, so that a lot of people can actually participate and get recognition from the world's #1 association, from Contact Center World. And then there's the awards aspect, which I'll cover as well in a bit more detail. I mentioned earlier on in our discussion about bias. To us, integrity is everything. Our program's 100% fair and unbiased. We don't allow anybody to influence our processes or procedures. Everybody has the same chance, whether you have 5 agents or 50,000, whether you're a small startup or whether you've been in business for 50 years. It doesn't matter to us. It's really about what you're doing and how you're doing it. And we also don't allow vendors to get involved in the judging process. And that's really important, because vendors, if any of you are on the line, I apologize for saying this, but vendors, when they get involved in awards, they're doing it because they want to build relationships with customers and potential customers and win more business. We don't allow vendors. Ours is very much peer-to-peer. Folks who run contact centers, who run customer service centers, help desks, are the judges in our awards program. They know best. They're doing it. They're at the they're at the coalface, chipping away, doing the same thing that you're doing day in, day out. They know what it's really like. And then they've not come from a sales background, typically. They've come from an operational background and understand the metrics and whether what you're saying is right or wrong. Our process is also split into 2 different stages. There's the online stage, where judges do not even know the name of the entrants. That's really critical for us. What we do is we have a pool of judges around the world who look at every single entry form, and what they do is, when they see an entry form, they will actually see the information stripped out as to who the actual organization is presenting. They won't see, for example, company names. They will see descriptions of what you're doing and how you're doing it and why you're doing it, but they won't actually see any particular company names, and that's really important so that they can understand what is best practices and not judging you based on your company name. Then there's a stage 2. If you go on to the awards program, judges are vetted, all scores are vetted, everything we do is double checked, triple checked, and we do not allow any bias whatsoever from anybody in the process. So we look for people who are trying to get round the process and maybe influence the judging system. It doesn't happen with us. We also are not involved in any aspect of judging. We can't be influenced at all. I mentioned earlier language options. Staff who don't speak or write English can also enter, and we've built a translation tool that allows somebody to, say, enter in Spanish or Japanese or Bahasa or any particular language that we have, and that can then be passed to a translator within the same company who can actually translate it into English so the judges can judge it. It allows people to really write what they do and how they do things and not have to worry about the English, because somebody else can actually take care of it. And then for those just seeking recognition, we have a certificate of achievement. This allows you to get recognition without even leaving the office. So it's a really good way to get some recognition for lots of staff in your organisation and give them something of value that they can be proud of and put on their resume. Hopefully they're going to stay with you for a very long time, but you know, it's something that they can actually say, I earned this when I was with ABC company. The certificate achievement also is judged to the same standards as the awards. So we look at the same process at the online stage, which is stage 1, where you fill in some online applications, and we go through the same process for the certificate of achievement as we do for the awards. The difference with the awards though is that those guys actually go on to stage 2, where they actually describe what they do and how they do it at our conferences around the world, and there they're judged by their peers. But what's also very important is that they get to hear other best practices, so they're also learning at the same time. Everybody takes away something. It's not just you're not just going for an award, but you're also taking away lots of ideas and inspiration from other people doing the same job, so you can become better. It's like you're literally rubbing shoulders with the elite in the industry, and you're surrounded by other people who you know are really the best, so they can inspire you, you inspire them, everybody gets better. The other difference that we built into the program is that once you compete on the regional stage, if you win and you're ranked number 1 and you win a gold medal, you then can go on to compete on the global stage against the best in the world. So typically those people in Europe, Middle East and Africa would compete, those people in North and South Americas would compete, and those people in Asia Pacific would compete, and the best from each of those 3 regions would go along to a global event where they would compete for the title of being the global champion, the world champion, the world number 1. I mentioned earlier that everybody gets something. If you compete, you receive an award. It might be a medal if you're a gold, if you come in number 1 and get the gold. It could be a silver, could be a bronze. If you compete, you're going to take away something. At the very least, you're going to take away a trophy that will show what you've done, how you've competed, and something you can be proud of. Plus you also get logos you can use, and it doesn't matter if you come 4th or 1st, you're going to take away something. What we also allow everybody to do is have the option of getting all the benchmarking data that we collect in the process. We ask every entrant when they're completing their forms if they want to participate in this. It is optional. It doesn't have any influence on your scores or anything else or how you're judged, but it allows you to actually input data and give us some benchmarking data, which we then share back with those people who gave us that input in the first place. So it allows people to get some more metrics and some more information. But also what's important about benchmarking is when you go along to our awards conference, you also get the chance to actually see and listen to those people who are doing the same job as you, so you can learn from them, they can learn from you, and that helps you benchmark and improve your performance. We also developed some fantastic tools which we give you to use free. One of them is an employee engagement tool called Top Place to Work. You can use that to get your employee engagement scores, and then we can actually verify those. You could also earn certification as a top place to work, and those scores then also something that you can share openly at the conference and say our employee engagement score is 96% or whatever it might be, based on Top Place to Work. And then the audience will know that it's from us, it's validated, it's verified. We also have a customer satisfaction tool which is again free to use, called rateourservice.com. It applies to phone calls, to emails, to web chats, to face-to-face. You can use this tool on your website to get information back from people visiting your website and their interactions with you, and it allows you to also again be certified for customer service and use the results in any form of presentations or submissions you're doing with us. And again, it's free. Another difference is that everybody who enters the awards gets ranked one way or another. You'll see over on the top of the top left hand side under For Life Direct, you'll see they got ranked #1 in Europe. They actually can use this in all their marketing, and they do. It is actually a ranking that we give everybody. The one below shows St George Bank in Australia, where they were voted #1 best contact center service. The one on the far right is a bank in Saudi Arabia. So every competing award finalist is ranked, and you know where your rank is and where you fit in the world as well. We also have a huge range of awards to enter across different sizes, inbound, outbound. We break these down, and this is a list of some of the awards that we have. So for individuals, from leader, supervisor, trainer, you can see the list here. Very comprehensive list covering all different aspects. And then for company awards, we break these down into in-house and outsourced as well. So you have best small contact center in-house, best small contact center outsourced. We have medium, we have large, we have mega, which is over 1,000 agents. Again, all of these are broken down by in-house and outsourced. So you're actually looking at like for like when you're competing. So we're going to cover now how to enter in the last 10 minutes of this. The first thing you want to do is to decide what your objective is. Are you looking to just give yourself some sort of recognition to show that you're doing a good job, or are you looking to actually enter a fully fledged awards program and compete and invest more time into this process, but also then take away a lot more value for your business? So two options that you have: certificate or standard awards program. There is also a premium awards program which gives you extra benefits, and you also get credits towards hotel stays if you do actually go on and compete. And here's a summary of the differences between them. You'll see with the certificate of achievement, you get a certificate for everybody meeting or exceeding the minimum standards, as you do with the awards program. You get logos, and this one we charge per entry. It's $95 US. That's about £60 English money, and that is per entry. So if you only got one person, it's that one entry fee. With the top ranking performers, standard and premium, you enter per center, and you can enter one of each of the awards. So going back to the previous slides where I showed you a list of all the different awards, you can enter one customer service professional, the leader, supervisor, the trainer. You can enter the best contact center, best customer service, etc., etc. One of each of those, all in that one entry cost. And if you go for the premium option, you can enter two of everything. So if you might have two different leaders, two different supervisors, two sales professionals, two sales managers. You might want to enter two different categories for sales campaigns you've done. That's entirely up to you. And we also give you credit towards hotel accommodation if you go for the premium one. You actually get twice as much back in terms of benefits with the premium one, because what you pay for your entry fee, we give you 2 times the value back in accommodation credits if you come along to our conferences and compete. So a couple of key steps to remember is when you're entering, you enter on our website. Entries are reviewed by judges around the world, and that's again very important, because what we do is we don't allow any judges in, say, Europe to see European entries. They only see entries from Asia Pacific and North and South Americas. So again, we're looking at filtering out any potential bias. And if you're going for the awards, the top are invited to attend one of the 3 regional conferences we put on, and you must attend if you're a finalist, otherwise you can't be receive a finalist status. You can actually just get a certificate if you want to do that, if you want to go that particular route. We have an awards dinner on the last day, and then the gold winners then compete every year at a global event, which is usually November time. And this year our event is actually in October, at the end of October, and it's in London. How you enter: there's an awards link here on the top of our website. Just looking at the menu, you've got tips, articles, events. Click on the awards, and when you're there, you'll see a menu bar. On the menu bar, you can actually make selections to go through how to enter, look at past winners, look at various other aspects of the awards program. And a few pointers now for entering. Remember, every bit of information you provide is confidential. It's only seen by you, our staff and judges. So we don't throw this out into the public domain and say, hey, do you know what this company's doing? They're doing this, this and this. It is kept confidential. When answering questions, do not include your name, your company name, client names, brand names, unless we specifically ask for it. If you remember earlier on, I was mentioning that we don't openly say who you are when you're being judged. This is really important, that judges do not see any reference to any brands or products or names, so they won't know who you are. All they'll know is this is the contact center, this is what you're doing, and they will be able to actually understand more about the processes and practices and less about the organization, so they're not judging you on who you are but what you're doing. If you upload photos, videos, documents, presentations, make sure they do not include your company name anywhere. Even if it's letters from your community programs or screenshots or photos with a company logo in the background, make sure that they do not include your company name or address or anything that a judge could look at and say, okay, this is what these guys are doing, this is who they are, and make some determination as to who you are. We also encourage you some best practice tips. Write all your answers in a Word document. Do a spell check before copying the final answers. It's amazing how many people we see submitting really nice entries and there's spelling mistakes all over it, and we then have to, if we have time, go in and correct it before we pass it to a judge. Please don't expect us to do that. We do if we can, but sometimes we have to pass information on to judges and we know it doesn't look as great as it could do because of the sheer volume of entries we've got and we don't have the resources to do it. So please take that ownership yourself. Check the English before posting it as well, make sure it makes sense. Only then submit your entry. And then the first few questions are really about who you are, your role, about the centre, industry sector. We also advise you not to use acronyms because acronyms vary in different parts of the world, and even though there's some fairly common ones in the industry, we don't want a judge to look at you and actually say, I don't understand what they mean by this. So be very clear and try and avoid acronyms. And then when we get to some other questions where we say, is there any other information you want to provide, please summarize your entry, detail you think anything else a judge should know or want to know about your entry form. Don't assume that they're going to understand everything that you want because you've explained it a little bit earlier. Go into more detail. It's your chance to really beat off the competition by making sure that your entry form looks really good and thorough and detailed. And if judges won't know who you are, so please don't assume that they're going to put 2 and 2 together and come up with 4. You need to show them exactly what you're doing, explain it in detail. That's the way to get to the judges, to actually understand your processes better and who you are and what you do differently. Then, if you are named a finalist, there's a question about what you're going to present in front of the judges. Really cover important points of your entry. This will help you make sure you're covering them, but also help judges understand why this person should be one of the finalists. And then next steps, just decide if you're going to go for the awards or certificate of achievement, whichever one you're going to do. Enter as soon as possible. Deadline is 31st December. Don't forget to pay your entry fee, and please ask us if you need any help. We will happily help you. We'll guide you. We also have people around the world who can actually help you put together your information, and also help you if you get on to become a finalist. And if you're going to go for the awards, please budget for the awards because it's a really important part of this. If you're just going for the certificates, you don't need to budget for coming along to one of our conferences. And make sure you're checking for messages from us. This is really important. We actually have on our website, there is a message button here. Make sure you're checking it because any important messages we're going to post there. And then finally, to wrap up, there are some other awards that we also have. You can enter Dream Awards. These are on our website, Industry Champion, and also Top Place to Work Awards. So please also bear these in mind. It's not just about the top ranking performers. These other awards actually fit in nicely into the whole process. We're pretty much out of time for questions, but what I'm going to do is I will send you all an email with giving you the opportunity if you want to ask us any specific questions, and then I'll gladly happily answer them at the end of this particular presentation. Thank you very much for watching this presentation. I'll also put a copy of this on our website so you can download it and send you a link to view it. Thank you very much, and good luck.